Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I'm Ryan, and today I will be doing my top 10 books of 2024. It is May. I am really late to this, and I've had the thumbnail ready for a while. The issue is I just didn't do the video. That's not really a good excuse. I've done this twice before, and I'm doing it a third time, and I'm going to have to change the way I do it in the future because this is what I figured out. The rules I've been using for my top 10 are they have to be published in the year that I'm reading them to be on the top 10. So in the past, I've said, this is the top 10 for this year, but there are definitely other books that I probably would have put on this list if it was an all-encompassing whatever I read in 2024 or the year that I read the books. But the last three, the only three I've done, they've all been published in the year that I'm reviewing. And this year that became a problem because I only read 10 books that were published in 2024. And some of them would never make my top 10 list, no matter how many books I read in any year. And that's what I'm running into now. So you're going to see that a little bit. I'll tell you where it kind of cuts off. And I really think by number 5, the books after 5 would definitely be in a top 10 for the year. But before that, maybe not. That doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they weren't near my top 10 usually. So in the future, I'm going to have to decide, do I just do the top 10 books I read for the year, no matter when they were published? Maybe. And do I do a top 10 or top 5? Because I'm already concerned about 2025. I've already read 4 or 5 that I know would be in my top 10, probably in my top 5, which is pretty interesting to think about. It's not even halfway through the year and I'm already at my top 5 maybe, but we'll see. That's it. So that's the preface with this. I'll kind of remind you of when we get to the cutoff point for the books that would probably be in my top 10. So top 10, 2024. I'm sorry this took so long. The thumbnail was ready many months ago and I just didn't get around to it. I was trying to avoid the rush. Everyone was doing it at the same time and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold off a little bit and I'm gonna do it when it starts to slow down. And then I just read a lot of things that had certain books that I was trying to get to as soon as they came out, and there. That's my excuse. All right, number 10. American Leviathan by Ned Ryun. I did a review for this. It's not currently available on my channel. One day it will be again. Yeah. When you see that review, you'll know what I think of it. Number 9, Handbook of the Recently Deceased. I have a video for that. It's not actually a book. It is a tin for popcorn for when we went to see Beetlejuice. And that should let you know kind of where we are in the book order, where number 9 is a book that's not even a book. It's actually a tin, and yeah. But it was cool. But I threw it away eventually. Number 8, All the Worst Humans: How I Made News for Dictators, Tycoons, and Politicians by Phil Elwood. I will say it wasn't a bad book. I thought his public relations thoughts were pretty on it. I just didn't like the fact that he tried to excuse who he represented and who he was helping. And that's the reason that it wasn't probably higher on the list. But it was entertaining and it was interesting read. It's just, if you're representing the devil, you can't get off by saying, well, everyone deserves representation. They don't. Not in the court of public opinion. So this was number 8, All the Worst Humans. You may enjoy it. Actually, thought it was interesting. It wasn't bad. Number 7, At the Mountains of Madness manga. I don't have it with me because it is under a few comic books over in that corner, and it was just too much trouble to pull it out. But it was all the Mountains of Madness in manga form. Took me a while to figure out how to read it. Although the nice thing was the book did tell you how to read it with a little description of the order you go in and everything. I liked it. But it's not a new book. It was just new in that form. And I thought it was interesting. It was good. It was the actual book itself was really nice. And I think they did a good job with the publishing. It's not my favorite story, but it was an interesting story. Number 6. ADHD is awesome. A guide to mostly thriving with ADHD by Penn and Kim Holderness. I enjoyed it. I thought there were times where maybe there was a little too much slack given to some folks that were discussed in the book, but it has some really good points too. And I think this would probably be on the cusp of a top 10 in other years. It might not make the top 10, but it might make the top 10. So we're basically in the area where I think ADHD is awesome is on the brink of being on a top 10, a normal top 10. Yes. Number 5. Now this is a legit on the top 10. The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the final book in the J. Daniels trilogy of Indian Lake. Wow. Creepy stuff. I think each of these books have been on the top 10 list. I think this is the third one that's made the third list. And it's always in the top. It's always in the top 10, but it may always be in the top 5 or close to the top 5. I really enjoyed it. It's horror. Not the horror that I usually do, but I did enjoy it when I read it. And I was kind of in the mood for it. So it's very violent. And I'm not always in the mood for super violence, but sometimes. In book form. Number 4. I know that his other books have been in my top 10. Don Winslow's City in Ruins. This is the final book of the trilogy. The City on Fire, what did we call it? The Danny Ryan trilogy. This is book number 3 in the Danny Ryan trilogy. And the only regret that I have with both of these trilogies is there was enough time in between them that I forgot some things that happened, and it may have been nice to read them all at once. But the other two I believe made the top 10 in prior years, and this one picked up right where they left off. Really good. So, City in Ruins, Don Winslow. It was also apparently his last book. And I've talked about this before, but Don, don't stop writing. Write us more. Number 3. Worst Case Scenario by T.J. Newman. If you've seen the other 2 books that she's done, Drowning and Falling and Drowning, in that order, they're not related, but they're all about planes. And this one starts off really fast. I really enjoyed it, and it led me to read or watch the movie about Chernobyl. And it is a terrifying read, or the scenario is terrifying. But it's not quite the plane story. I mean, there's a plane. A major part is played with the plane, but most of it's on the ground for this one, where the other 2 had to do with planes most of the time. And T.J. Newman is a former flight attendant. Now I believe this is her job, and she's done great. All 3 of her books, I believe, have been in my top 5. Maybe all of them have been number 3. I'm not 100% sure of that, but this was awesome. Great job. 3rd time. Awesome stuff. Awesome sauce. So number 5, 4, and 3 were all 3rd books. 2 of them in a trilogy. One of them just the 3rd book ever by the authors. And it's really nice to kind of get in the flow and look for the next book. So related to what you're reading or by the author. Number 2, The Best Cutters of the Best Coast Guard by Brian Runyon, my friend and classmate from the Coast Guard Academy. This details the best Coast Guard cutters, best Coast Guard ships. in the history with his Claw of Knowledge illustrations. It's really well done. It made me really the reason I started reading the books about Bear, the Coast Guard Cutter Bear, Revenue Cutter Bear, and he does a great job with this. So you don't have to be a fan of the Coast Guard to read this, but if you are, you should. And if you're not, I think you'll appreciate it. And the illustrations are fun too. So Best Cutters of the Best Coast Guard by Brian Runyon. And number 1, Carla's Choice by Nick Harkaway. This is a John le Carré novel. Probably shouldn't be a surprise to you because Nick Harkaway, I'm pretty sure, has been the number 1 author each of my previous top 10 lists. And he continues on. This one's cool because it's not just something he wrote, but it's also carrying on in his father's footsteps with the George Smiley novels. This is the first book that will take place, and I think there's like a 10-year period, the 10 years between Spy Who Came In From the Cold by his dad, John le Carré, and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And there's a lot that goes on in those 10 years that we never know about. And this is the first book that will let us into that story. I don't know how many more they're going to be. There's certainly a lot more time to work with. I don't know if this covers like a year maybe. But I reread everything through Spy Who Came In From the Cold and to prepare for this. And I loved it. He did a great job. He really did it in John le Carré's voice, I thought. And I love everything else he's done. So it was interesting to see him write in another voice. But he did a great job with it. Made the number 1 list. You know what? Maybe I think what has happened in the past was my first top 10 list. It was a John le Carré novel that Nick Harkaway carried across the finish line. And so he had a part in it, but it was also his father's. The last top 10 list was one that he did completely, Titanium Noir. And this one he did completely, but it's based off his father's work. And I am pretty sure that 2025 is going to have another top 5, maybe number 1, again, by Nick Harkaway, because I just love everything he does. That is the top 10. For 2024, I'm sorry it took so long to do this. I will try to be faster next year. I may have to change up the rules next year. So I have a top 10 or top 5 list that really shows what I liked for the year. But for this one, really, the top 5 are definitely top 5 books, or top 10 books at least. And some of the ones just below the number 5 spot are also good books that could make a top 10. But number 9 and number 10 would not make a top 10 any year. That's it. Thanks for being here today. I may have a couple more videos soon because I'm getting close to finishing a book and also watching a series to do a video on. But it's been a little bit of time since I've done a video. So this may be the new pace. We shall see. Thanks for being here. Have a good one. Bye.
I wish somebody would have told me, babe, that someday these will be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. Someday soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of these good old days.
I was thinking about the band, I was thinking about the fans. We were underground, loading merch in that 12-passenger van, in a small club in Minnesota, and the snow outside of First Ave. I just wanted my name and a star. Now look at where we at, still growing up, still growing up. I would lay in my bed and dream about what I'd become. Couldn't wait to get older, couldn't wait to be some. Now that I'm here, wishing I was still young. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would have told me, babe, that someday these would be the good